Hey everyone, it's been a long time since my last update, so I apologize for that, but a lot has been going on. In the last 5 weeks, we've had 4 leadership retreats. We have helped new students move in, taken them to dinner, played paintball with them, had an ice cream scavenger hunt, worked at a homeless shelter with them. We have had 2 different kickoff cookouts, dance parties, dessert parties. All kinds of different things have been going on. We have taken a group of 60 students to the beach for our new student retreat, which was 2 weekends ago and was excellent. I'll talk about that in a minute. We have had our first 5 worship services. I spoke at the first 3 on the sort of the radical nature of God's grace, on how does the gospel of Jesus actually apply to things as horrible as human trafficking, and on race, racism, and what God has to say about that. And then last week, I was a member, actually I guess I led a panel discussion on race, justice, some of these things, a lot of question and answer with students. We've launched all of our small group Bible studies, and yeah, there has been a tremendous amount going on campus already so far this year. So I guess I should also mention, we've introduced and I've begun training our wonderful interns, Matt and Renee McCrory. They got married a week before school started, and yeah, have moved down here and have been on campus for a couple weeks. And they're doing great. They're from JMU, is where they graduated from, and we just love having them. And that's been a lot of fun for me to work with them and train them on what it looks like to do the job, but also what it looks like to be married and in ministry, to have healthy boundaries, to not just do the job effectively, but in a way that is holy and honoring to the Lord. I think that there's a way to do ministry that is more about efficiency than it is about holiness, and so that's something the Lord has taught me a lot about. I certainly have a long way to go in that, but we've been talking about that a lot. So I want to tell you a little bit about what's been going on. I will say there have actually been some pretty discouraging things. I was planning to send out a video 2 weeks ago and just didn't have time planning for the beach retreat. But our numbers have been pretty dramatically down. About 150 fewer people than we've had in the past. Certainly fewer new students than we wanted. And I struggled with how to communicate that, because I think that there is, I feel, maybe no one else does, I feel a pressure, I think, when giving these updates, to cast everything in a positive light, to spin things, or to, I don't know, even to ignore not ignore, maybe just leave out or casually mention some of the hard things and the discouragement. I don't know why that is. I certainly don't think any of you personally have put that pressure on me, but I don't know. I think from talking to people, that seems like in ministry what we often feel is that we have to always communicate as if things are going well or getting better. And I would say that's has been really hard. We haven't seen an uptick in numbers. Our students have been discouraged by that. And one thing that was important that we did last Friday at a leadership meeting is I just gave the students the freedom to be discouraged. I told them that it's okay to not understand and to be frustrated with the Lord, that it's okay to tell them that it's okay to be confused, that we can, that being a leader doesn't mean always, having to say the right thing or think the right thing. It doesn't mean, always having to say things like, well, God's going to take care of it, or what, and sort of throw in Christian platitudes that cover over how you're actually feeling, but actually that being a spiritual leader means being honest about how you're feeling, giving other people the freedom to not understand, but also it means taking it to the Lord. It doesn't mean sitting in that place of confusion or discouragement. It means giving it to the Lord and letting Him speak into it, letting the Holy Spirit move. And sometimes the Lord allows us to sit in that place of discouragement and confusion for a while, and sometimes He brings us out very quickly. And I would say I sat in that place of discouragement and not really understanding what's going on for a couple weeks, and it was a pretty hard couple weeks. We're working very hard and doing a lot of things and just not seeing the results that we had hoped to see. So I just want to acknowledge that. I do feel like I'm in a different place now, but I don't want to just pay lip service to how hard it was. It was really hard, and if I had recorded this video 2 weeks ago, I would have been very discouraged, and you would have seen that. While we were at the beach, where we had hoped to take, 60 to 80 new students, and we took 19, which was really hard and very discouraging for me, for the other staff, for the student leaders, and just we couldn't understand what was going on. We had prayed a lot, we had really tried a lot of different things, and it just didn't work. And while we were there, we had a lot of great things happen. Some students gave amazing testimonies. It was probably the most open and honest I've ever heard UNC students be, not just in the testimonies, but in smaller groups with one another. We had an amazing prayer time on Saturday morning, where we had 9 different great prayer stations kind of set up so you could pray through personal sin, some suffering of other people, all kinds of different things. I've included a bunch of pictures at the bottom of this email for you to check out. It was really great. And during that time, the Lord really spoke directly to me and said, basically said the following. He said, I'm not doing something big. And I immediately knew that what that meant was, I'm not doing something numerically that you want. The numbers aren't where you want them to be, Jordan. And so I'm not doing something big, but I am doing something deep. And that was really powerful to hear from the Lord. Obviously, hearing from the Lord always is powerful, but I needed that. I needed him to affirm that what he was doing was significant, and it wasn't what we expected, but it was what was needed. And I think that has really gone along with sort of where we are. We've come to realize in the last couple of years that there are so many great, wonderful, Christ-centered, Christ-glorifying Christian ministries on UNC's campus that are doing a lot of good things with tons of students, but particularly with students that fall into the following categories. Students who love Jesus but maybe are kind of nominal in their faith. They're sort of perhaps kind of apathetic, and they need to be cared for. Reaching Christians who are sort of looking for youth group part 2, or students who love Jesus but really want to think of their faith more in terms of how they can grow personally instead of reaching other people. And that's great. We're thankful for all those ministries, and they're doing good things. And we've decided, actually, it's been really clear from the Lord that our job isn't to duplicate what these other ministries are doing. Nor has doing what we've been doing the last couple of years since I've been here, has that actually enabled us to reach people who are far from the Lord. We haven't seen a lot of people come to faith. We haven't even developed, I would say, nearly as many missional Christians as we would like. Christians who are actually committed to what God is doing. And so we've sort of changed the mindset in the last few years from when I got here, from sort of come to our community and find friends and grow, to, hey, God's on a mission on this campus, and we are too, and we want to go and we want to reach the distant parts of campus. We recognize that there has, over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of overlap between who we're reaching and who the other ministries are reaching, and our areas of influence are very much the same as some of the other great ministries. And so there are parts of campus, there are dorms, there are communities that are not being reached by anyone. And so instead of duplicating the efforts of all the other ministries, we're going to change what we're doing. We have changed what we're doing, and we're trying to reach people that nobody's reaching. And we want to really be a missional community, a witnessing community. We're aggressively targeting Christian students who care a lot about the gospel, who are ready to be missional, or maybe they aren't ready yet, but they want to be. They have the desire and the maturity to grow in that way. That's why we've talked about things like justice and race so early. Those are huge relevant issues on our campus, and the gospel speaks into them, but sometimes it's not something that we talk about, and we wanted students to know from day one, this is what we're doing. We're going to speak truth into the hard conversations that happen on campus, but we're also then going to take that truth outward. So we're doing a lot. Sorry, I have some notes over here. That's why I keep glancing at. We're doing a lot to try to transition in that way, and I think that we're seeing some real fruit. I think that part of the reason that our numbers are down is actually because if we had tons of people coming to our large group worship services, we might be content and not feel any need to go reach out to other people that aren't going to just automatically walk in the door of a Christian event. If our small groups were overflowing with new members, our small group leaders might feel content and not feel any desire or inclination or need to invite that roommate, that suite mate, that classmate that they're not really sure where they stand spiritually or is opposed to Christianity. So I've been encouraged with what the Lord has been reminding me and revealing to me and the other staff and students about what is happening. I think that we're on a really exciting path. I think it's going to be hard, and we're probably going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. But it encourages me. I think that it would have been easy for us to just pay lip service to being an evangelistic, witnessing community. And I don't think that we've paid lip service in the past. I think that we've really tried. But I think with what God was calling us to this year, it would have been easy for us to just not really do it and just talk about doing it. But that hasn't been what's happened, and I'm very thankful. It's been hard. It's been really discouraging at times. It's been confusing at times. But at that leadership meeting on Friday, when sort of we gave people the freedom to be discouraged, but then we talked to them about. I got to talk to them about what God's doing and what He's calling us to and why it's exciting. And we spent a long time as a group in prayer. All the leaders, kind of throughout the room, and then people shared the things that God was laying on their heart, and it was really encouraging. I think that it really invigorated us, and I really like what one of our students received very clearly from the Lord was, the story of Gideon, and God saying that you have way too many soldiers to win this war, because if you do, you're going to get all the glory. And so I'm gonna go from 10,000 down to 300, and then I'm going to win that way. And some of that is what God is doing now. He's sort of pulling us back, and if good things happen, it's going to be to His glory. It's not going to be because we've been so successful in doing what we want to do. But we really value your prayers. I know that I feel them regularly, and yeah, I will certainly try to do more regular updates. The Lord is moving. He's doing great things all over campus through all kinds of ministries, and I'm thankful that InterVarsity gets to be a part of it. So thank you for your partnership, and sorry this video is a little bit longer, but it's been a while.